Try not to hit any components here. Take your time, you're not in a hurry. Unless your wife's calling you, then hurry up. Just leave it alone. Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be building a budget 6-inch quadcopter, and it's going to be a total of around $150 to $160, which is absolutely drop dead cheap. And I think it's going to be a pretty nice flyer, and this is also going to be going out for a giveaway, so make sure you leave a comment on this video. This might be 2 parts. Might be the first part of the video, or I might do it on one video. I'm not sure just yet, but we'll figure it out as we go. Like I said, we'll be out for a giveaway, so let's go ahead and take a look at some of the components here that I'm going to be using for this, and it's components that I've come to know, trust, and enjoy because they're very good components. So let's go ahead and start with the flight controller /ESC/PDB all into one board. Now I'm going to be using the Racerstar Star F3s board. This has the ESCs and the flight controller, everything, and the OSD, as well as the PDB all built into one board. I do highly recommend this. This only goes for $54. And it's just been performing. I've had a couple for over 2 months now, and they're still working absolutely beautiful. So this is the first piece that I'm going to be using, or first component, if you might say. So let's put this guy to the side. For frame, as you can tell here, I'm going to be using the Relay AC Martian III. Now, this is a 6-inch. Well, it's 250mm wheelbase, so it's supposed to be a 6-inch. However, this is a bit different. Usually we have, True X quadcopters, and we have Stretch X quadcopters. However, this one's a bit different. This one's a Squashed X quadcopter. So the arms are going to be squashed in. Usually a Stretch X's would be up like this, just, like that. And then the True X is obviously a True X, just a complete symmetrical X. However, this is squashed, which is the arms are closer together here. So it's going to be pretty good. So I have no idea what to expect just yet. We're going to build it, test it out, and then give it away to one of you. And hopefully the winner will actually make us some video before he crashes it that it's flying good, or he's just enjoying it. So yeah, so that's for frame right here. For camera, I found this $10 camera, and I really want to test it. And it looks good. It's an HS1177 type camera. It's a CMOS camera. I'll leave a link down to this below. I bought 2 of these. One already used on a previous one. This is a different one though. I found 2 posts for $10 cameras. So I got this one. It runs from 5 to 12 volt, which is absolutely perfect. And this is what we need. So hopefully it's good. We'll figure it out once we go fly it. So yeah, that's for camera. Now actually all we need is 2 more components, which is the VTX and the motors. Now for motors, as you can tell here, I stuck with my favorite cheap budget best motor you could possibly find in terms of budget and cheap. Now this motor is only $9.39, and it performs like a $20 $25 motor, which is the high-end motors. So I've gone ahead and chose the Racerstar 2306S 2400 kV Fire Edition because these are absolutely beautiful, and I don't care what anybody says. If anyone has anything to say about them, I really hope you've been flying these and not just saying just because of the brand is Racerstar. Alright, VTX, my old best friend, the Eachine TX526. This guy's only $12, and I've never had a problem. However, I cannot guarantee you that it broadcasts correctly on every channel. It might bleed to other channels, but if you fly by yourself, it really doesn't matter. So $12 is a hell of a bargain. And I've been using this since I started my channel, and I still use them to this day, and I have a stockpile of these because they're cheap and they just work. And well, that's it. So let's get started. Alright guys, so before we begin here, let's go ahead and take a look at the board here. So we need to know what we're going to need to solder. So let's go ahead and take a look at the pads. As you can see here, we have all our pads, and we have our USB and our motors right there. So the motors are motor 1, 2, 3, 4, which is perfect beta flight orientation. So that's good. So that's set for us. The arrow is pointing forward, which says to have it installed into your quad like this. All right, so now we understand that point. So let's go ahead and take a look at the pads here. So what we're going to need to actually solder is we need to solder a VTX, a camera, the receiver, and the motor wires, and we're done. That's it. So let's go ahead and take a look at the pads here. So here they give us a ground right there, and then we have a video out, video in, and then we have 5 volt S bus ground. All right, so how would we use this? Now let's take a look here. Our camera takes 5 volts. So one of these 5 volt pads is going to go for our camera. So let's go ahead and take a look here. So we have ground, video out, and video in. So we're going to solder our camera to video in, 5 volt, and ground. And then our VTX, we're going to solder the video out, and we're going to give it power from down here, which is the raw battery voltage, because our VTX takes 7 to 24 volts. So that's what we're going to do there, and it doesn't take 5 volts. So now we're left with 5 volt S-bus and ground here, and this will be going to our receiver. Now if you're using FrSky, you would set it up right there. If you're using FlySky and you're using the iBus protocol, there is a pad up on top here somewhere. Once we remove this, we'll see it. And I don't know what we're going to build it with right now. Maybe S-bus, FrSky, or a FlySky. I have no idea just yet, but I'll show you once we do that. Let me go ahead and remove this heat shrink, and let's start preparing the pads. Alright guys, so before going ahead and removing it, you have to be very careful because you could really damage this. So there's these little connection parts. Just be very gentle with them. Just remove one side and the whole thing should start to come off. Try not to hit any components here. Take your time, you're not in a hurry. Unless your wife's calling you, then hurry up. Just leave it alone. Alright, so we've gone ahead and removed it, and you see you just created these nice fat capacitors right here, and I really love seeing that here. And it really needs to have these capacitors. Lately, it depends on your motor, you might have some noise, and if you do run into noise, just go ahead and set up just a voltage regulator and a low ESR capacitor, or even sometimes just a low ESR capacitor will clear that right up. Because voltage regulators, it's a bit some regulators on specific voltages, especially the ones where you can choose the voltage, can just induce noise because they are noisy themselves. You have to find that sweet spot of voltage where there's no noise. And it could be a pain if you don't have an oscilloscope, or you just have, you have to have very, very, very delicate hands. So let me go ahead and prepare the soldering station, and let's start preparing the pads here. Alright guys, so we're just going to go ahead and prepare the pads real quick, and I like to do it this way, which I just heat it up and just slide it across and then pull off, and I should get most of them in very clean. So you kind of want to be pretty quick on this. As you can see here, we missed the first one right there, and that's it. And if you do get them bridged, all you got to do is just pull back, and you're good to go. Nice, shiny pads here. So let's go ahead and take a look at this board now. Now, these two might be ground. I'm not sure. So I've not even tested them. But if you were to have iBus, like I was saying, the S-bus here would not work. Sometimes it works. I mean, for me, it never worked, actually. So I had to go to the RX ports up here, which is RX1. That's where you want to put it. And you would set up serial RX to UART1, and you should be able to access the iBus protocol, and it should be that simple. I mean, it's not really complicated at all. So in that point, I mean, it's just right there, just very simple. So if you're using iBus, just stick to the iBus pad. If you're using now, if you're using Spectrum, you would also want to put it. Oh, actually, I don't know. I think you'd put it on the S-bus also. Spectrum looked like it was inverted, I think, when I was testing it. So let's go ahead and prepare the ESC pads here. And currently I'm soldering at 380 degrees Celsius with lead solder, which has also flux here. And I can feel the board already starting to get warm here, so very nice and shiny. All right. Let's do this guy now. So most of you are requesting for me to keep them long and to kind of show you the whole process, and that's what I'm going for here. And some of you might not like it, some of you just, yeah. But there's a lot of new people getting into this hobby, and I kind of want to help them. I really want this hobby to grow. Alright, so basically here we're pretty much done. The board's pretty much ready. So let's actually start soldering on some of the parts here. So let's go ahead and start with the camera. So every camera basically just has 30 wires, unless you have those new ones with OSD and, you know, the OSD voltage and stuff. But those, you know, that's a different story. And if you got one of those, you know what you're doing. So if you're just really new to this. Most cameras come with 3 wires, which are yellow, black, and red. So obviously the yellow is going to be for video. It's not obviously, but to most of us out there, it's pretty obvious now. The yellow is the video, which would be video in. Red is the positive, which would be 5 volt. And black is the ground, which is the ground minus. Alright, so I like to twist the wires like this. It kind of keeps it overall clean. I think I'm going to have it to right here. Should be pretty good. Let's go ahead and cut that. Alright, I think this is going to be very good. This is long enough, and it's not too long where it'll get in the way of something. So let's go ahead and prepare these wires here. Alright, so the wires are prepared. Put the camera down. Now what I like to do, and what I highly recommend you do, is always twist the wires, because when you start soldering, you know, they could just spread out and go everywhere, and that could cause you a nightmare. That could cause you a whole board. So just be careful. Twist your wires, take your time, and you should be good to go. So here's another technique that I use. Some people like that blue tack thing, but I don't. I just set my solder sticking out, just it's up in the air right now, and just go ahead and hold the wire part to this, the iron to the wire, and then just go down, and it'll take the solder, and that's it. It should be very simple. All right, nice. So now we have our camera wire pretty much prepared. Let's take a look here. Some of them might be a little bit long, so you see like that positive, and actually all of them, we're going to trim them down just a little bit more here. We don't want them to stick out too much, and you'll see what I mean in a bit. Alright, so here's the flight controller /ESC/PDB, and as you can see here, now when we set it down, it's going to be pretty perfect right there. Oh, that's the wrong pad. We need that to be on video in, because this is the camera, and we want the video coming in from the camera to go to the video in, go to the OSD, and go to the video out, which will go to our VTX, which sends down to our goggles. It's pretty simple, and there's nothing really to it. It's just, there's really nothing to it. So let's go ahead and start with the ground here. The ground's all the way at that edge right there. So we're going to go ahead and give ground, because we said we're going to give ground and power from here to our camera. And make sure the tip is always clean. You want it to look like this. Nice and shiny. Except that side. But there you go. Alright. That was beautiful. Now we need video in, which is this guy. That was nice. Okay, kind of bridged them because it's very far away from me, so I'm really having a hard time seeing where everything's going. So that was video, and this is video. This should be 5 volt. So this is going to be 5 volt right there. Make sure the tip is clean. And again, we bridged it. Double check you didn't bridge anything. Here we seem to be very good like this. So now basically our camera's done. It was just that simple. So now let's go ahead and move to the VTX. However, if you're going to use the same VTX as mine, the only drawback of this VTX is it uses very, very, very crappy wires. So that's something you need to take note of. So here's the wires. And it can be kind of confusing because some VTXs have more than 3 wires, where you really need, sometimes you can use more than 3 wires depending on what kind of things you have here. So let's go ahead and take a look at this together here. All right, let me just get the VTX out so you guys have a better idea here. So if we grab the VTX and we actually stick this wire through, we could kind of know what each wire or what each color is actually doing. So as you can see here, we have ground, which is right there, audio, video, ground, 7 to 24 volts, if I see that correctly from this far. All right, so we do not need, all we need is basically 3 wires on this board. We need 7 to 24 volts. This is the power that's going into this to power this VTX up. So it takes a 7 to 24 volts. So obviously we cannot put it on a 5-volt pad. And that's why I said we're going to be powering it off from here. Because this is the raw battery, and our battery is going to be 16.8 volts, which is a 4S LiPo, or it could take anywhere between a 3S, I think, to a 6S, and you should be totally fine here. So that's where our red is going to be from the battery. So we're going to take a wire from here and just take it to this guy, which is this red wire right here. Second wire is ground. You take ground from anywhere you want, but in our case, ground is just here, or we could probably use one of these 2 pads. I still have not checked them what they are actually, and I think we'll check them on a little bit right now. So these 2 might also be ground, so we could even just take the black wire here, but it'll just be cleaner to take the red and black and just stick them right here. So that's for power. And then if we take a look here, we have video, which is also yellow, and that's going to go to our video out, because the video in from the camera goes to this OSD, puts that, that beautiful nice OSD that tells you your voltage and stuff, and takes it out to video out, and then takes it out to video out, which will go into here, and then broadcast this down to your goggles. Now you also see audio and ground. Now you could also ground your camera from here, but it's just getting more complicated now. And this also supports audio. So if your camera had a microphone or you had a separate microphone, it can even broadcast the microphone down to your goggles. Obviously, if they had headphones and they were capable to, play audio. So we're not going to need these 2, this ground and this audio. We're going to actually remove those 2 wires, which is the white and black here, and we're going to keep the first 3 wires right there and use them. So let's go ahead and do that. So we said we're not going to use the black and white wire, and that's what I'm doing here. Okay, and these I'm going to actually just have them be a little bit more spread, because you'll know why later on. All right, so as you can see here, the wires that I'm going to use are actually spread down, because we're going to cut them around here. It's a pain if you cut it like right there and you had to just separate them. You could actually ruin the whole wire here, so you really don't want to do that. And here you can cut them right like towards the end, but you do have a high probability of them shorting out, and that's something you really don't want with your VTX, especially if you're like very high in the air. That's very bad. You can say bye-bye to your quad. So what you do is you can get anything that's super sharp, lift up one of these pads, try not to lift too much or you'll break it, and then just pull the wire. There we go. We just got the black one, and now we're going to do the same thing to the white one. Okay, perfect. And then we just push back on it and make it nice again. So these 2 wires, we don't need no more. All right, so I'm going to leave the black and red wire right now, because we might solder it from that once we put the Xt60 connector, because I don't know how I'm going to have it inside the quadcopter just yet, but we'll see as we go. But currently right now what we can do is we could just get rid of the video here. So I think right about here should be good. Yeah, I'm going to cut the wire right here. I think it'll be good. Okay, so this wire is very bad quality, and if you use a stripper, you're just going to ruin it. What I highly recommend you do is use a lighter, melt it, and then just pull it off. This is what I used to do, but lately I've been able to get it with my stripper just right. So, and not always, by the way. So there we go. So just be careful, because this wire is very terrible. It might have looked good right now, but trust me, that's after a year of trying this wire that I got it down. So yeah. All right, let's get our solder here. And don't apply too much heat to this wire also, because it'll melt super quick. So I know it's long, but we're just going to quickly just add a little solder. We don't want to keep too much heat on it, or it'll start melting. So let's go ahead and shorten it out. So right there is going to be good. I don't know how big that is, but you'll see. It's just about the same size as the pad right here. Right there. So another thing to take note of, like let's just say you turned on your quad and all you're getting is a black image with the OSD. That means your camera, something's wrong with your camera. Now let's just say you turn on your quad and you're just getting static. That means your VTX is not working. So that's something, some side things you should actually take note of. Not a lot of people know that. Alright, so far I'm liking this. It came out pretty good. Everything is pretty well. And let me go ahead and grab the frame and we're going to see what are the next steps here. Alright guys, so we've gone ahead and grabbed the frame. As you can see here, they give us this nice little PDB. Now this does not have any kind of regulators or anything on board. Think of it as a way of connecting, they're just all connected together basically. All the positives, whatever you do, is connected to every single positive pad here. And every negative is connected to every negative pad here. So we really don't need a PDB, but this will make our wiring very clean and it'll make our overall stack cleaner. So for example, what we can do is we can just easily solder our Xt60 here away from the board. Okay. And what we can do is just basically run a wire from any of these two to the board here. Let's take a look here. For example, because our board goes in like this. So this way it'll keep the Xt60 on the side there. So it'll be just a lot better. And you can just bring a wire from here to here and we're good to go. So I think we should do that. I think that's going to be very good here. So let's go ahead and just take a quick look here. I'm just trying to figure out, because this is kind of, alright, I see it. So our battery would go into one of these right there, one of these straps here, one of the strap holes, or you can do it whatever way you want. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and set this like this. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Let's see if we have enough clearance. That's not going to hold. So we need to figure out a way to have this hold here. Which should be very simple. Just make sure we have our polarity correct. Positive, positive. Okay, perfect. So here in these kinds of positions or these kind of situations, you really want to make sure you bring up the heat a little bit more than usual on your soldering iron, because you know these pads are a bit bigger and you kind of want them to heat up quicker, and that'll help you out a lot into when you're soldering. So what I'm going to do here right now actually is I'm going to use two hands, one to kind of add pressure here, and I just needed to really just grab one right now, and I could worry about the rest later. That should hold it. Yep, perfect. So that held it right there. Let's go ahead and do the negative side and we'll come back to the positive later. Alright, that seems nice. We could always use a little bit more. We can actually give power to our VTX from one of these pads now too. So this is I really love these boards. These little cheap PDBs here. You know, not all frames come with this. But I really like this. It's very useful. Just gonna add a little bit more here. Might be overkill. I might get a lot of shit for this, but this is how I do it. Alright, that's very nice. Let's make sure we got the polarity correct. See, that one is a little bit lower. So now we can just come back, apply pressure with our hand, and re-hit this. Okay. You want to keep heating both pads up. There you go. We got it in place. And that's good. Now, I don't know if the pressure is burning my hand or it's actually the metal burning my hand right now. But we'll figure it out once I let go. No, it was good. It was just the pressure here. Alright, so like this, it's very good now. So let's go ahead and see what's our next step. Alright guys, so I've gone ahead and found two basically two silicone wires. Whatever you cut off, try to keep them because they will come in handy in other builds or in repair. So I always highly recommend you save whatever you cut, even from motor wires. Those are going to come in handy because for this build, we're going to have to extend our motor wires. So take that into consideration. Don't throw them away. Keep everything. So I'm going to go ahead and prepare these two pads. And why am I preparing these two pads? Well, because our flight controller is going to sit like this, and there's the arrow pointing forward, and the camera is up here. So make sure you know your correct orientation. Now the camera, I know for sure, is pointing this way. So that is the front of our quad. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the Xt60 connector from here to this guy right there. And this way we can have, you know, if we need to debug anything for some reason, tighten these guys, we could just easily pop it off like so, and we're good to go. However, this will stay in. And that's it. It's going to be very simple, very nice. So I think first what we're going to do is actually we're going to put the wires into the flight controller first. It'll be a lot easier because once it's like this, then, you know, it could just be hanging here and we could just solder this instead of just soldering this and trying to find the perfect place for this so we can do it. So let's go ahead and prepare the flight controller here. So let's go ahead and do this. All right, so let's go ahead and grab our negative here. And we're going to check what kind of gauge or how many gauge this is. Both of them are about the same. I think they're 16 gauge is what I'm using. 14 gauge here. This is what I found. So 14 gauge. There we go. Twist the wires like I always say. And here we'll do this side also. As you can see here, I had this side already pre-opened. You want to cut those because those have oxidated. The oxygen will kind of ruin them. So you would want to have just, you know, the fresher they are, the better the solder would stick. So these two sides are going to be absolutely fresh right now. So solder should stick very beautiful. And some of you are going to hate me now because I'm not going to use helping hands, but that's my decision. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and leave the solder hanging in the middle of air. Sorry if it's not going to focus. And then I'm just going to start heating up the wire here. And then just holding the solder to the wire. And it should start melting here. And that should be nice and beautiful. You kind of don't want to let it flick, because the solder could flick right into your face or right on the flight controller. And that is the last thing you want to happen. Oh man, that was hot. Alright, so that's pretty good. Let's go ahead and set this guy up then since he's done. So we need to figure out what's positive and what's negative here. And looking at it, you used to say which one's positive. Oh, there it is. It's next to the bat. So we got positives right there. So let's go ahead, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to apply pressure like this, and it should be good. All right. So just like so, and it should be good. The wire will start to give once it gets hot. So you want to take that into consideration, and unlike me, there we go, it's better. Hit it again because we kind of moved it here, and nobody's perfect. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and do the ground, which is the negative, which is the minus right there. So let's go ahead and get the wire, and let's prepare it with some solder here. I'm running out of solder. Need to go look for more. And you guys always ask me what kind of solder I use. I get this solder. It's I get it from Tesco. People in Europe will know what that is. It's basically like the Walmart of the US, but it's like for Tesco. For Europe. So yeah. So let's go ahead and just start setting this wire up. It's gonna get pretty hot in my hand now. It's coming off camera, but I'm sorry, so just going along with it here. Alright, beautiful. Alright, that's nice. We're gonna do the same thing. Let it dry off a little. It's very hot. And I kind of don't want this one to happen to me what happened last time. So I'm just gonna put something right here for it. All right, and the way that I'm gonna push on this wire is I'm gonna push it towards the inner part here, so I don't push down on it and just pop it out. Because if you pop this guy out and you just basically close the hole with solder, it's gonna be a pain, especially if you're new. Even to this day, it's a pain for me to actually fix that. Make sure you heat up the sides of the hole here, so the solder could grip to the board as well as the wire. So that's something you should take note of. That's beautiful. All right, let that cool off for a bit. The board's even hot now, so you just got to be very careful. So let's prepare this pad, because that's the pad that I think we said we're going to use. Just double checking. Yeah, because this will be in like this. However, you know, it's got a bit harder here, so let's just double check that's going to be fine. Perfect. It's perfect. Okay, so if we set this up like so, this is going to be ground there. So this is the opposite orientation here, so you need to take note of that. All right, that's not a problem. It's good. It's very nice and flexible, so just double checking everything here. All right, so let's go ahead and prepare these two pads then. And then I'm gonna give power to the VTX from these two pads right there. So we're gonna prepare those as well. Pretty big pads for VTX here. Very nice and shiny. You want to try to put a shitload on here. Sorry for my language. But you want to put a lot. You want to make it look like a bubble. A nice bubble. Nice shiny bubble. So it doesn't look like a nice shiny bubble. Doesn't really matter. Well, it does, but I mean, it's okay. It'll get the job done anyways. Beautiful. All right. So, like I mentioned before, I really am trying not to cut this now because I don't want to get it that short. Let's actually put these two around the same length. Let's keep one longer because one has to stretch to the other side. So I'm going to keep this one a bit longer, the positive here. And let's go ahead and we're just going to make this a little bit more. We got some fresh back here. This is fresh back down there. So, but we're not going to be able to twist it because this already came pre-soldered on something else. So let's go ahead, start preparing the wire. It's going to take some time to heat up here, but should be good. For a second I thought I wasn't recording. All right, let's do the positive now. And solder ran out. Nope, not yet. Okay, I kind of want to get it into a place where it's not going to move much. I'm applying pressure on the other side with the solder, and as you see, it just started melting. It just melted through. That's when you know the wire is hot enough. I'll just apply some pressure. Okay. Beautiful. All right, so let's get this guy because they're gonna bend over like this. All right, let's start with the negative first. So it's a good thing we left that actually pretty long. Yeah, so let's start with the negative first. Let's start with the ground here. So as you can see, that's ground right there. And I don't recommend you solder it anyway. Just make sure you get the orientation correct, because so when this spins over, it's going to be good. So we want it like this right here. So I don't want to lose the orientation of the wire, or it'll be bad for us. And I'm going to grab something to hold the wire with, because it's going to be very, very hot, and it could ruin the whole joint right now. So let's go ahead and do that now. Trying to figure out the best place to grab it. I think like this is going to be good. All right. Sometimes I like to heat up the pad first a little, and then I grab the wire, and then I just start heating it into place. Everything is just moving here. It's very bad. All right, so that's in. This is where the hemostats would come in very useful, but in this situation, we're not going to be using those. So there we go. And now I'm going to go ahead and prepare this one. Should we do it on the outside? Yeah, I'm going to do it on the outside, from the outside. Make sure you keep the orientation correct here. And we're going to try to do it with our hand. This is going to be possibly a bit painful. Could probably ruin the whole thing here. Well, that was pretty good. We were able to last. So now we would just add the standoffs, set this guy up. Basically, our battery is going to be connected right here. It's going to give power to the board. Here, we're going to set up the VTX, which is these two wires. And let's go ahead and do that. But these are pretty long, actually. Let's take a better look at this. So, all right. So the VTX in theory would be connected somewhere up here. And these wires are just very, very long. We really don't need them to be that long. Maybe we could even actually power it off from here. It's closer to this, and it'll keep it a lot cleaner instead of having a wire in every single place. So yeah, I think I'm going to do that. It's going to be good here. Let's see. Yeah, I'm going to do that right there. I'm going to give myself a little extra slack here because these wires are very, very bad. Good. In case I mess up. Perfect. And I didn't, which is very good. Twist them. Doesn't really matter here, but it's always good to twist them. It's a good habit. So I'm going to actually put them on this pad now. Just go ahead and zoom in here. Here we're getting positive ready. And here's ground. So I'm not going to go ahead and prepare the wires here. I'm just going to stick that there. So I'm going to heat up the pad first a little. And then just drop this guy through. Give him a little heat. And that's good. Same thing with this guy. This guy's a bit long, but it's okay. So heat up the pad a little. Drop him right in. Give him a little heat so we don't mess up the wire. And we're good. Perfect. That's very nice and clean. So now we have a beautiful, beautiful setup. It's going to be very clean. So all we got to do now is basically solder in the motors, and we could route this wherever we want once we set up the standoffs. So yeah. So let's go ahead and actually prepare the standoffs. And this thing came with a bunch of standoffs, which is very good. So let's go ahead and start this. I don't know if this is what came with it. No, this came with the flight controller. This is what came with the yeah, this is it. And we're gonna need the screws here. So let's go ahead and set up the screws. I need 4 of them, 4 big ones. So here's 1, 2, 3, and these are the screws that came with the with the frame here. So we're gonna have to remove these 3 screws. Yeah, these are small ones. It's just so we can actually strap our battery through. This is very important, because without it, I don't know how you would mount your battery, or it would be a pain to figure out another way to mount your battery. Let's move this. Let's stick these guys through. Here's one. Went in beautiful. Let's go to the other side. There he is right there. And we're going to need the standoffs now. Usually I don't go this far into detail, but you know, Most of you guys requested this, so there you go. All right. Especially if you win it, you're gonna kind of want to know how I did everything here, so you would know what to do if you broke it, lost some parts, and you didn't know how it was connected. Now you know. So now I'm just installing the second standoff. Now we're gonna install the other one. Very beautiful. This is what I mean by just slides through beautiful, or just aligns beautifully. It's very good for a $25 frame. Very good, actually. This is 6-inch and it's only weighing 124-25 grams, just the frame alone. So that's very good, actually. Has anyone seen those new X-class drones? They're just humongous, and I really want to build one, actually. Those will chop someone's head off completely. All right, so that's good. They're giving you very good nylon standoffs, that's for sure. All right, we'll wrap these guys around the inside here, right there, like that. Slide this guy in. Sometimes they're a bit of a pain to slide in. No, not this time. That's good. So this is a 1-stack board, so you could just go ahead and add the nuts they even provide you with. So really you don't even have to grab anything else. And we're gonna see, we might soft mount this, we might not soft mount this, but currently I'm going the not soft mount method. And we'll see how that turns out when I go take them for a flight. I'm just waiting for the weather to clear up because I have like 3 quads to fly for the channel that I have not made in. Actually 4. I haven't even flown that Jeb yet, that little 3-inch that we built. Oh yeah, and I got a couple micros I need to fly. Anyways, those will be flown soon. All right, so yeah. Now all there's left to do is just the motors and the camera, just stick it in the frame. And we have our VTX, we have our camera, and we'll do the receiver with the motors, and we should be good to go. So let's just take a look at it here. So as you can see here, we took the power for the VTX from this little power distribution board, because it distributes power from here. The battery would go in here. It gives power to all these pads. The flight controller takes power from this little PDB here, and does its own thing, which is the ESCs and the flight controller and all that kind of crazy stuff. Like I said, this is the ESC power, and then we're gonna set up the receiver on those last 3 pads right there, which is S bus 5-volt ground, and yeah, everything is ready. I mean, it's a very, I don't know if you guys can see this. That's it. That's all it is. It's a very, very clean build, like insanely clean. And the VTX here, if you're worried about, oh my god, where am I gonna put it, you don't even have to worry. Just tape or double side tape, and then right there. Sorry, that's not it. Right there, that's it. They even give you holes. So we're just gonna use, I have this crazy ass double side tape, which is what I'm going to be using. That'll hold it in very good. It's so strong, these break and it crashes, and the VTX rarely ever pops out. But in negative weather, the tape does tend to lose its adhesive, what do you want to say, adhesive characteristics. Yeah, that's the word. All right, well, that thing is just beautiful. It's very beautiful. I'm gonna have to redo not redo it, I'm gonna retouch this Xt60 connector. I really don't like how it came out here. Let's do it together. Some of you like seeing this, how I'm gonna go about doing it. So let's do it together. You want to heat up both pads and not burn your hand. That's the trick. So this pad is going to take some while to heat up here for some reason. There we go. This pad's fully heated up. This pad should heat up a little bit more. There we go. Awesome. Hopefully it's catching on camera. This one should still be kind of hot. Cooling down. Okay, good. Good. Just have to go back and forth very fast. Good. This is the point where you do it. This is the point where I do it. we go. Starting to give. There we go. Yeah, that's as best as it'll go right now. Alright, that's as best as we can do it. It's very nice because the frame's pushing it a little bit here. That hurt my finger. And positive, just double checking it. Yep, everything's nice, everything's beautiful, looks absolutely clean. And I truly believe this is going to be an insane quadcopter. These motors are just going to be absolutely beautiful with the little PDB accent going on in here. Look at these. Very nice. The only downside to these that I really hate are these short motor wires that piss me off. Look at that. We're just going to have to extend this by a lot. So, yeah. So, well, you know, that's going to conclude it for this first part of the video, guys. On the next part, I will be doing the extending of the motors, and we're going to be installing them. And I'm also going to take you through the beta flight. And we're going to be also installing the receiver. And yeah, that should be it. And I might do also some separate videos on how to add auxiliary channels on your receiver, so you can add switches to ARM and to change modes and all that kind of stuff. I see a lot of people still have issues with that. And that's going to conclude it for this video. So don't forget, if you want to enter this giveaway, go ahead and leave a comment on this video. And the next video, if you leave a comment there, that'll be nice also. But the winners will be chosen from this video. So just make sure you leave the comment on this video, and if you want, leave a comment on the other video. It would be super nice also. And well, that's it, guys. So that's gonna conclude it for this video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. See you guys. Take care.